Well, it is a Friday and I am back in the office. I was in Monroe County, Pennsylvania today representing a client at a hearing. It was a pretrial conference hearing. We expect to go to trial next week. So I'll be back in Monroe County next week. It's a little bit out of the way from my office in Morristown, New Jersey, but very frequently we have to travel for clients and we have no problem doing that. So we did this morning. Now I'm back in the office in Morristown, New Jersey, a little later than expected. Have to see a client before the weekend's out. Did come out with a blog article regarding the recent case involving the Philadelphia Eagle, Josh Sills, who was charged with one count of rape and one count of kidnapping from an alleged incident that happened in 2019 in Ohio. Now, in Ohio, I wrote a blog article about the system in Ohio and how it's different from the system in Pennsylvania, but how Ohio is like the system in New Jersey. The Ohio system is a grand jury indictment system, what we have in New Jersey, whereas in Pennsylvania, there's a preliminary hearing system. So had Mr. Sills been charged in Pennsylvania, he would not have gone through the indictment process. He would have the opportunity to go through the preliminary hearing process, and that is actually much more of a fairer process, in my opinion, because it gives the opportunity for his defense counsel to challenge the evidence against him. Now, the evidentiary burden of proof at a preliminary hearing is very low. It's a prima facie probable cause type of burden of proof. It is similar to the burden of proof at a indictment proceeding before a grand jury. The only difference is that an indictment, there's no defense counsel permitted. The accused may or may not be called to testify at the indictment process, at the grand jury, but they have a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, and they can be advised of that right. In addition, it is the prosecutor presenting the case without a judge. So there are no objections like a preliminary hearing. So really, there's a saying that a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich, and that's a lot of times true because most times when cases go before a grand jury, people are indicted. Now, there is a recent case involving an NFL player, Deshaun Watson, who was not indicted despite being called before two grand juries. Now, that case is very telling because there was a lot in the sports media who made comments about him being guilty of this and making allegations and kind of just saying, well, he did this, he just to admit to it. But I find it interesting that Mr. Watson wasn't indicted by a grand jury, by two grand juries, when the burden of proof is extremely low. So those two separate bodies found there wasn't enough evidence that a judge or jury could find him guilty. It is very similar to almost a civil standard. Now, he did settle the cases, but a lot of times people settle cases not because they did anything wrong, but to avoid additional publicity or actually to save money sometimes. When you have the cost of trial and the time, it's just sometimes the best way to handle an issue through money, and that's what he did. But it isn't an indication of guilt or innocence, and I wish a lot of these reporters would stop getting into this. Well, he settled, and therefore he did something. That is simply not true. You're not attorneys. Please stop commenting and making legal judgments on things that you know nothing about. And these reporters who are lawyers, quite frankly, you don't practice criminal defense, and the practice area you had was likely corporate law, and it had nothing to do with that particular case. In Mr. Sills' case, now that is beginning. He has been indicted. He will go now through the process of a potential trial, unless him and his attorney work out a non-trial disposition, aka plea. I wouldn't expect that to happen because likely, I can almost guarantee, any plea agreement would be almost the end of his football career, and not to mention likely a state prison sentence. So I doubt that case will end up in a plea. It probably will go to trial. It's my understanding. I don't follow the Eagles that much, even though I live near Philadelphia, but it's my understanding that he wasn't a starting player. He played about one game this year, but nevertheless, he is a member of the team. He has been placed on the NFL commissioner's list, the exempt list, so he's not allowed to travel to the Superbowl. Whether or not he's being paid is unclear. It's my understanding that some players can be paid, some players aren't paid. It really hasn't made a lot of headlines in the sports world or the non-sports world because, again, Mr. Sills isn't really what people would consider a superstar player. I think I can almost guarantee if he was a more of a notable player, that it would make a lot of news and would be in the news probably every day, given the fact that the Super Bowl is next week. But if you have questions about the procedure in New Jersey or Pennsylvania, 215-755-9000 in Pennsylvania, 856-793-7429 in New Jersey, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Website gamblinglaw.com. As always, a tremendous resource for you and your family. All my books, my blogs, my videos are available there in one convenient format. It is Friday. We came out with our weekly update today. We've got over 4,000 of our current and former clients in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. A lot of fantastic articles. It kind of brings together all the latest content. In addition, it provides a link to our podcast, which is always a great learning opportunity for our clients and their families. Quite recently, I brought on a reporter to talk about his challenges and struggles as a reporter covering court stories, Mr. Shay Roddy of the Guernsey County Herald. That podcast should launch next week, so please go and look at it. But again, it is Friday. Please enjoy the weekend responsibly. If you are drinking, please don't drive. If you are stopped for suspicion of DUI in Pennsylvania or DWI in New Jersey, do not refuse a chemical test. It will never help you in your case. Once again, have a great Friday, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you all very soon.